do, y'all? Cyber Supreme TV back in the building for another one, man. Let's talk about some boxing real quick. First and foremost, I want to congratulate Mark Magsayo on a victory against Gary Russell Jr. Very competitive fight. Uh, Despite Gary Russell's little situation, having to basically train himself, shoulder injuries, ring rust, 2 years. Didn't look like that at all in that fight. No excuses. He didn't make none. He came in there and fought a valiant, smart fight, the most smartest fight he possibly could. But he got edged out by a slim margin, in my opinion. A lot of people felt like Gary did win with one hand. Me personally, I was damn near nose to nose with the TV, looking at every punch. I mean, it was laying some leather in there, man. And from my standpoint, man, the boy did what he had to do, and he slimmed it out. But he'll bounce back. True champions bounce back. But it was definitely a competitive fight. I didn't have Gary Russell vision. Everybody know I love Gary Russell. I favor Gary Russell, but I did pick Magsayo. And I think Gary Magsayo won the fight. Not just because I picked him to win. I just felt like he won the fight. But we're going to move right along to future fights coming up. Early next month, I think Keith One Time Thurman has a title eliminator. Now we know it's a title eliminator against Mario Barrios. Wow, what opportunity for a guy who just stepped up to the 147 division, and for a guy who's been inactive also for about 2 years. Keith Thurman has an opportunity to get in the ring, take care of business, and possibly get a shot at the WBC title. Not just that title, but 3 titles. Whoever wins the Errol Spence and Ugas fight. It ain't going to be easy for Keith Thurman, though. A lot of reasons I say that is because he's been inactive, he's been in injuries, he had car accidents, and all this type of things, and now he says he's back at 100%. He will perform well, but I don't think he'll perform quite as we would like to see. I just feel like Mario Barrios has an outside chance and a very high chance of upsetting Keith One Time Thurman. He's been more active. He's now at a more comfortable weight. He's a natural 147 pounder. He drained himself to fight in lower weights. And now he has the opportunity to compete and fight, for a title if he can come back in a big way and beat Keith Thurman. So that's definitely a fight I'm looking forward to watching. It's going to be an interesting scenario if we see 2 upsets. If we see Ugas upset Errol Spence, and if we see Mario Barrios upset Keith Thurman, it looks like we're going to have a Mario Barrios versus Ugas title fight, a unification fight, with possibly down the line next year with Terrence Crawford. Now, Boots Ennis also will compete for a title eliminator later on this year. Opponent not announced yet, but it'll probably be a guy where we know Boots will probably make easy work out of. Boots will also become a mandatory for Errol Spence. I think it's the IBF, I believe. So he'll be in that title eliminator and getting right along to it. Ultimately, that will lead to him either fighting later on in 2022 or early 2023, who's ever holding those titles at 147. What does that mean for Terrence Crawford, who's the WBO champion? He doesn't really have a mandatory. He just fought a mandatory in Sean Porter. Now he has an opportunity to step up and fight another big-time fight with either Josh Taylor later on this year. If he take care of business in Scotland, they'll go back to Scotland and fight. Or he has an opportunity to fight another mandatory and get out the way just for kicks, will be Virgil Ortiz. Or just fight for shits and giggles, Boots Ennis, because everybody keep trying to send opponents his way except for Errol Spence. But I don't think Boots is interested honestly, in that particular fight right now. The biggest opportunity for Boots, now that he can become a mandatory, would be him going after 3 titles. So why would Boots or Keith Thurman want to fight Terrence Crawford right now when they can get 3 instead of 1 belt? You know what I mean? So that makes sense for those 2 guys. Well, you still have Vergil Ortiz out there. I would like to see Vergil Ortiz and Boots go at it in a title eliminator. That would be awesome. Those are the 2 guys who are at a crossroads with each other who will eventually cross paths at 147. That's an interesting scenario. But overall, saying all this, we know for a fact that we are not going to see the super fight. Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence. And this is something I've been telling guys, all y'all, since 2018. That fight just ain't going to make it. Not going to make it at 147. The only way I see it is if Errol Spence chooses to step down and vacate the belts, go to 154, and Terrence Crawford follows suit. But Terrence Crawford has expressed interest on still keeping the 147 title and going back and forth from 154 to 147. So he may never let go of that WBO belt. He may retire the WBO champion. We do see a lot of opportunities and good scenarios with these guys fighting each other. But ultimately, we won't see, in my opinion, my very strong opinion, for many years now, I can say many years, we won't see that ultimate title fight of everybody just clamoring over Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. Not going to happen. As you know, the PBC has made another excuse. Now that he's available to go to any street he wants. But the biggest super fight to make in the future definitely will probably be, in my opinion, Boots and Vergil Ortiz. That will be the super fight in the future. More so than like right now. It would be great if it was to happen sooner than later. But we know these guys have a tendency to avoid each other until it becomes a super fight. So, it's going to be a fight for the future. Both of those guys probably will still be undefeated by the time they fight. Or maybe one will take a loss depending on which route they take. Things are looking bright on both sides. I know Ortiz has a fight coming up soon as well. So he'll be busy with his fights. But as far as Boots go, I mean, the sky's the limit for him. All he has to do is get over that hump and become a mandatory and probably take that fight. It's up to Errol Spence, though, who he would take right then, whether it be Barrios, Thurman, whoever wins that, or he'll take Boots first. There's no guarantees for Keith Thurman. I know Keith Thurman is excited about it. Keith Thurman is the favorite to get picked if Keith Thurman wins. But if Mario Barrios wins, he'll probably take Boots then. But if Keith wins the fight, I think Spence will go ahead, even though he said he wouldn't, he'll go ahead and fight Keith Thurman. He's not going to go and dismiss that fight and fight Terrence Crawford for unification. Although we know unification trumps that. But hearing all these damn excuses about economics and all that bullshit, we know we ain't going to see it. Not because the 2 fighters want it. 2 fighters really want to fight. They'll fight regardless of what the economics is. That fight is sale. I don't give a damn about what they're talking about. But Keith Thurman is the heavy favorite to get Spence after Spence and Ugas if Spence wins. Now, I don't know what the hell Ugas would do. Ugas did come out of his mouth and say that he would like to fight Terrence Crawford next if he beats Errol Spence. But if Keith Thurman comes about, I believe that that fight will be made also still in Keith Thurman's favor. So I don't see Errol Spence saying, okay, well, Boots is a mandatory. Boots ain't really fought nobody. He's not a big prize fight really yet, although we love Boots and real boxing heads know what Boots can do and all his potential. But I don't see Errol Spence saying, okay, no, I'd rather fight Boots than to fight, Keith Thurman. That ain't gonna fucking happen. So that's pretty much what it is. Boots gonna have to wait itself. So why not, in the meantime, in between time, while you waiting for your fight Vergil Ortiz. that makes perfect sense to me to go ahead and fight him right now instead of waiting until much, much later. Both of you guys are looking for opportunity to knock one of these bigger guys off and become champion. But you guys can do something like what Tommy Morrison and Ray Mercer did back in the day or something. Terrence Crawford has bigger fish to fry as well. So unless you guys become a WBO mandatory, I wouldn't worry about it. And quite frankly, Terrence Crawford would be looking at bigger prize fights than that anyways. Regardless to whether it'll be an Earl Spence fight or not. Economically, since we want to talk about economics, it would make more sense for him to have a big prize fight against Josh Taylor. You know, why would he do that? Or if Keith Thurman gets excommunicated out of that mandatory weight, put pressure on Keith Thurman, send a contract, and let him fight. I mean, for crying out loud, why would he take a lesser fight after coming off a victory against Sean Porter? Honestly, so I don't really see him fighting either of those two future guys when he really don't have to. I just wish one of these guys would step up to the plate and just say, hey, if I want to fight 3 times a year, a la Keith Thurman, and if you do get left out, go grab a title if you can, and see if you can only be once beaten Keith Thurman and continue to do great things by beating Terrence Crawford. It would be a great matchup and a big-time pay-per-view as well. But what are you guys' opinions in these scenarios? Who do you think will come out on top when it's all said and done by 2023? Peace and blessings, y'all. I'm out.